I came to the whole Twitter party relatively late in the day, but when I did, the first person I chose to follow was not a musician or a novelist or a filmmaker, but rather the human rights lawyer Clive Stafford-Smith. I never expected our paths to cross. My record on getting people off death row is unimpressive, and Clive has nothing to do with music. At least that's what I thought. Not long ago, Clive tweeted that he was looking for musicians to help out in an opera that he was staging in the small Dorset town of Bridport. I was intrigued and I offered my services. The day after the performance, I asked Clive why someone who's so well known for campaigning for the closure of Guantanamo Bay and for the ending of US drone strikes in northern Pakistan, and of course for saving the lives of over 300 prisoners on death row, should choose to stage an opera on the subject of West Dorset District Council.
I think possibly it's true to say that to refer to our opera as an opera is a slight overstatement. But I live down here in West Dorset, that's where my wife is from, and in getting sort of more involved in the community, I had got to be a real supporter of the Trick Factory. This is this fantastic thing where this guy Robert Ridge, who's 41 going on 14, has been riding his BMX bikes for the last 30 years and has built up this fantastic establishment for young kids, mainly testosterone-filled youths, to do their BMX bikes and do all sorts of flips and everything. And there's a developer just wants to destroy that whole area, and we've been fighting it for 2 or 3 years now. And the latest thing was this awful farcical council meeting where they approved the development plans without any rationale. And one of the highlights, of course, was one of the councillors who, when asked why he was going to go against the professional planners, said, well, he couldn't really explain because his hearing aids weren't working and he hadn't heard anything. And I just felt that the people of Bridport needed to see what had really happened and that we should dramatise it. And to dramatise it, we needed to make it a big laugh and get everyone to sing along, and hence the very, very loose terminology opera.
Intentionally or otherwise, Clive joins an illustrious line of largely left-wing opera creators who have used opera as a tool of political activism. I asked him why he thought it was that opera and the stage seemed to be used by the left more than the right to achieve their aims.
But let me first take issue with the notion that I fall into a group of famous operatic producers or writers or whatever. I mean, that's ridiculous. I have very little talent. I mean, you have as much talent in your little finger as I do in my entire body. So that said, I guess the question is, why is it that really left-wing activists use opera to do things? And there was a time, it's not with us so much today, and we need to get back there, when the left-wing was the group that dreamed. I mean, the right-wing doesn't dream. The conservatives conserve. They don't inspire. The best they offer is that if you work really, really hard in a third world country, 4 generations from now, you'll be able to buy a McDonald's. Whereas the left wing, for a long time, inspired people with dreams of equality and dreams of human decency. And we've lost a lot of that, and we need to get back to it, which is why you folk who do opera or who do any other sort of art need to get on with it. And so it may be that we're not doing enough now, but the answer to that is to do more. The notion that you have to be serious in order to be persuasive is just upside down. There's a piousness sometimes about the left, and I suppose about lots of different folk, and it's just not very persuasive. And I, for one, have long felt, even when I'm doing capital cases or whatever, or dealing with death by drone, that you're much more persuasive if you give people a bit of a laugh. And what's more, there's a principle that's very clear here. If you say to Tony Blair or to George Bush, I hate you, in a serious voice, that doesn't achieve anything, and indeed it sort of reinforces Tony Blair's sense of self if a bunch of commie pinko liberals go around saying things like that. If you laugh at them, they can't stand it. And so it's just much better. For example, one of the things I want to do on drones is I bought my own drone and I want to fly it over the drone makers and drone those bastards and see how they like it, and just have a good time and get them to sue me so I can then sue them for the next generation. And you know, you just got to come up with fun, interesting things that get people's attention. And one of the troubles I have with art generally is the notion people have that you shouldn't mix politics with art. I took a bunch of British artists down to Pakistan on the whole drones issue, and they were, forgive the term, I think, sort of mental masturbating about whether you can have art and politics mixed up. And I was so relieved when we got to Pakistan and the Pakistani artists looked at them and said, "You people are off your minds. Of course you should mix politics and art. That's the purpose of art." And I think we in the West have got, you know, a bit up ourselves on that, and we should just get on and do something worthwhile.
What's next?
I don't know if we're going to follow up this opera with another opera right away. I know I'm open to ideas. There was a lot of fun last night doing the opera, and there were people who want to take the show on the road and go and disparage every district council in the land. It would be a lot of fun. I'm not sure it's quite my thing. But I'd be very glad to come along to your next opera that disparages local politicians.
Clive Stafford-Smith's latest book, Injustice, Life and Death in the Courtrooms of America, is out now. It's a brilliant book. It's also a very important book, and I urge you to buy it and to read it. That's all. I'll see you next time.